It started with a favor, just one small favor. My sister Lena has two adorable kids, 6 and 3, and back in March, she mentioned her daycare sometimes closed for random training days. I told her, casually, that if she ever got stuck, I could help out occasionally. I really meant it. Occasionally, maybe once every few weeks, an emergency morning here or there. But occasionally quickly turned into every single weekday. The first time, she texted me at 5:40 a.m. saying daycare had an issue and she'd dropped the kids off for a few hours. Before I could even reply, she was at my door, letting herself in with the spare key I gave her for emergencies. The kids were still in their pajamas, clutching their stuffed toys half asleep. Lena just smiled, said, "You're a lifesaver," and was gone before I even had my glasses on. I remember standing there in my kitchen, making toast and trying to remember when I agreed to be a full-time morning nanny. I love my niece and nephew. They're sweet, funny, and full of energy, but I also have a job. I work hybrid with morning meetings and client calls that don't exactly mix well with spilled cereal and cartoon debates about which cup is the right cup. At first, I brushed it off. Family helps family, right? But then it became every day. Every single morning, 5:38 a.m., the sound of my door unlocking. 2 sleepy kids on my couch. A text, "You're a lifesaver, Tissam," and me reheating the same cold coffee, trying to look professional on Zoom while breaking up toddler fights in the background. I tried to set boundaries, gently. I told Lena, "Hey, can you please ask first?" She said, "Sure, of course." The next morning, the doorbell rang again at 5:38. I told her Tuesdays were tough for me. I head back-to-back meetings. That Tuesday, she showed up with a quick favor. I promise it's the last time. It wasn't. Weeks went by, and my patience started thinning. I wasn't angry, not yet. Just drained. There's a kind of exhaustion that isn't physical. It's the kind that creeps in when someone keeps taking advantage of your kindness, smiling while they do it, as if you owe them this. Then came the breaking point. One morning, I was mid-prep for a big client pitch. My laptop was open on the kitchen table, slides ready, coffee beside it. The 3-year-old climbed up to help Auntie work. In slow motion, I watched him tip over his yogurt pouch, right into my keyboard. Sticky white yogurt seeping between the keys, spreading like a slow disaster I couldn't stop. I froze. Before I could even clean it, the 6-year-old had found my dry erase markers and decided the white wall beside my desk looked too plain. She made a rainbow. I remember just standing there, staring at the chaos, my client pinging me on Slack, my laptop beeping, my wall covered in pink and green streaks. That was the morning I missed my 9 a.m. call. Lena picked the kids up around 11, cheerful as ever. When I told her what happened, her expression hardened. "You sound grumpy," she said. "Family helps family. You're single. Your time's more flexible." Something about that sentence snapped something inside me. More flexible. That was her nice way of saying my time didn't count. That because I didn't have kids or a husband, my mornings belonged to her. That night, I sat down and opened a spreadsheet. I started doing math. Extra food, $20 a week. Cleaning supplies, $35. A new keyboard, $89. 2 Uber rides because I couldn't drive with both kids melting down in the back seat, $42. Lost freelance time, $126. I added it all up, line by line, and the total came to $300.47. I stared at that number for a long time, then I opened my email, subject line support expenses, March through May. Body, "Hey Lena, I'm happy to keep helping when I can, but this is what this support has cost so far. If we schedule things ahead and you cover the expenses, I'd be glad to keep assisting." Attached a cheerful, itemized invoice for $302.47. It wasn't meant to be cruel. It was meant to be clear. The explosion came within minutes. My phone buzzed nonstop. Lena had posted screenshots of my email in the family group chat, calling me heartless and transactional. My mom messaged saying I should apologize. Family doesn't bill family. My dad quietly Venmo'd me $50 and sent a thumbs up emoji. Classic dad. Then, 2 days later, Lena texted again. "Daycare's closed for a training day Friday. I'll drop them off early." I stared at my phone, smiled, and typed backy, "Sorry, not available without prior confirmation and prepayment." That set off a long wall of text about how I was gatekeeping childcare, How the kids would be sad not to see me how I'd changed. I didn't reply. I think in that silence, she realized I meant it this time. Friday morning came. For the first time in months, my alarm went off at 6:30, not 5:30. The house was quiet, peaceful. My coffee was hot, my laptop worked, my wall was clean. At 5:45, I got a text, "We're outside." I didn't respond. I watched through the peephole as Lena stood there, holding the kids' hands, looking confused. Then frustrated. She knocked once, then again. Finally, she texted, "Are you serious?" I was. For the first time, I was serious about my own boundaries. Later that day, my mom called. "You really upset your sister," she said. The kids were so disappointed. I told her gently, "Mom, I love them, but love doesn't mean letting someone walk all over you." There was a pause. Then she sighed. "Maybe you're right." The next week, Lena didn't text. The week after, she didn't either. Eventually, she started arranging proper childcare. And when she really needed help, once, genuinely last minute, she texted ahead of time and sent $40 in her for snacks and Uber. It wasn't about the money. It was about respect. I still see my niece and nephew all the time, now on weekends, by choice. We bake cookies, we paint on paper, not walls. And every time Lena drops them off, she knocks, waits, and says thank you like she means it. Sometimes I think about that first morning when she dropped them off without asking. How small it seemed then. How easy it was to say, "Sure, no problem." But small favors, when repeated without gratitude or boundaries, can turn into quiet resentment that eats away at you. The funny thing about revenge is, it doesn't always have to be loud. Sometimes it's as simple as putting a price on your time and sticking to it. Because when someone refuses to value your time, you teach them by example. You show them what your peace is worth. And honestly, that's the most satisfying kind of revenge there is. If you've ever had someone mistake your kindness for weakness, you know exactly how this feels. So, if you enjoyed this story, hit that like button, subscribe for more true stories of justice and boundaries, and tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying way you ever took your time back? Because sometimes the quietest revenge speaks the loudest.